Okay guys, in the video I posted of my latest build, the Suzuki GSX 750 in Azuma. You'll have noticed this bike here in the background along with my daily rider. This one would be probably my most comprehensive build so far to date. It's a 2005 Kawasaki ZRX 1200R. And I bought it, oh goodness, when was it? I think 2015 I bought it. Had a 1999 Honda Fireblade, one of the very last of the carburetor Fireblades. And it was in the Cadbury's blue and white colours, but I always fancied one of these ZRXs, and I had chased after a number of them and always missed out because they seemed to be a pretty popular or a pretty desirable bike, and I always was always too late to get one. But anyway, I bought this one, and it was it was in pretty good condition. It was in the standard candy lime 2005 colours. But although it was a nice clean one, I decided, well, look, I had plans on what I was going to do with it. So I had crazy custom paint up in Ballymoney, and well, he was actually beyond Ballymoney, almost towards Coleraine at the time. Phil Smith, got to know the guy, excellent painter, and I left him up the tins, the bodywork, and I wanted it painted this traditional like early 80s Kawasaki green, flat green color, you know, not metallic or anything. Done an absolutely amazing job on it. I mean, this is all airbrush. There's no decals or anything. Everything is completely glassy, smooth, and so I wanted to paint it that is the white, I had him do that. It's like a pearl white and a purplish blue. Had him do that color, you know. But as I say, that was one of the very first things that I wanted doing, and I wanted the colors to be kind of reminiscent or representative of the early 80s, 83, 84 Z1000 and Z1100 Eddie Lawson replica colors, where the stripes on the nose cone there returned into the headlight. But anyway, again, it was subject of an enormous build, because I took everything off this bike down to the frame again, as I tend to always do. The frame on this one, the later ones, the 05 one, is like a metallic kind of charcoal greyish colour. It's not black. Okay, so my 01 bike is a gloss black frame, but this one's not. This is an 05, so, and the later ones are that kind of colour. But anyway, so I had a lot of changes I wanted to make. The stock colour of the engine casings on and the valve cover on this these bikes is like a bronze, goldish bronze colour. and but I changed the engine casings. This is a ZZR 1200 gloss black engine casing, and it fits. Sight glass is a little bit bigger and a little bit higher up, which means you've got to watch where you fill the oil to, and you will see that the oil level on it is not quite at the full mark, and that would be correct because of the sight glass being slightly bigger and slightly higher. Once again, all like with most of my builds, and this one's no different, all the engine casing bolts are changed to titanium. There's just so many changes. I'll go over the obvious ones here. The stock carburetors on the Kawasaki ZRXs are CVK 36s, but these are Yoshimura MJN TMR flat slide carbs, and they've got dual stack intakes there, as you can see. The airbox is missing from it. I took it off, and we've got this storage box here that's made by expensive lightweight stuff in America, and it will fill the area where the airbox normally would be. I made this little crankcase breather myself, machined it. I made this fuel filler cap. How do I use it here? Anyway, yeah, that's it there, Moriwaki. I made that, machined that. The rear sets are Moriwaki. The rear brake master cylinder is not stock. It's from a Honda dirt bike because it has it's a much cleaner look, and it has an integral reservoir in. The normal reservoir for the stock brakes for the rear would normally sit in there, but of course I done away with that because I just wanted a much cleaner look. Like you see that there's it there, and that goes down to Brembo HPK rear brake caliper. The swinging arm is an over 10 racing swing arm that I bought from Japan. I machined the rear axle in titanium myself. Also these little bolts for the lower shock mounts, they're machined from titanium by myself as well. The rear disc is a Sunstar 250mm fully floating rear brake disc. The wheels are BST carbon fiber. The exhaust is a Kirker, which I think is very in keeping with this period style bike. The baffle I made myself into a race style baffle, which is quite a bark from it. The badge, the Kirker badge, is one of the older well, it's a replica of the older style Kirker badge, reminiscent of the Kirker exhaust pipes from the 1980s, from the Eddie Lawson days. The exhaust hanger bolt, again, I made myself. The exhaust hanger bracket here is made by a guy who I know in Canada. He calls himself Custom. The lower or the upper shock spools, again I made those in titanium myself. Actually made a special little tool that locates into each of these little recesses, and that's how you tighten it up. because without the tool you can't you know, you can't take it on or off. There should be a grab rail on here. I took it off and replaced where the grab wheel would be with these titanium pieces. The I don't like these tiny little indicators that are fashionable on many people get them, so I want it, and the stock indicators are far too, in my opinion, far too big, and I wanted something resembling the stock indicators, but just a slight bit smaller. And these are for this bike, these are the rear indicators from a ZRX 9R, and I actually bought 2 sets and used them for both the front and the back. So that I'd have a full 4 indicators. Shocks are obviously Öhlins. There's a 44mm or a 44 tooth rear sprocket, and let's see, it is Renthal. The side stand here is again made by a member on the ZRX OA forum. It's called the Dick stand because it's made by a guy called Richard, and it's aluminium, but I added a little titanium kicker there on it to get with your heel of your boot. I made the kickstand bolt, and as you can see, I've gun drilled it. The there's an additional shift shaft support arm that is made by a company in Japan. Well, it was made by a company in Japan, but they're no longer they're no longer available. The swing arm pivot again is a titanium one that I machined myself. The frame plugs are again titanium. Another piece that I machined myself. The another view of that crankcase breather, as you can see. I made the idle adjuster knobs, sorry, and the choke knob. Those are my own pieces that I machined. That's the choke, like that. Fuel tap is a Pingle gravity fed tap. The stock tap on these bikes is a vacuum one, and it would be prone to leak if you didn't keep an eye on it. These Pingle ones, the thing about them is they're a manually operated one, and you've got to remember to switch them off each and every time. There's a manual cam chain tensioner there. This RCM cover is I think it's made by Nitro. I bought that in Japan. The front sprocket cover, that's quite an unusual one. It's the frontal part of it there. It's a cutaway frontal part. That's made by Greg Couch in America. But the this plate here is a special design by a man called Scott Stitz, and he made that, and as part of like a request as a group buy for us members on the OA forum, so that we could drive the speedometer off the counter shaft sprocket here via this little black coupling, and it goes through a Honda VFR 750 Speedo drive, and that in turn goes into a Honda CBR 1000 cable, which goes up to the clocks. And that means you don't have any speedo drive, because speedo drive would normally be driven off the front wheel, but in this case it doesn't. It's driven off the counter shaft, and creates a much cleaner look at the front. It's a K factory master cylinder for the clutch. The let's see now, just keep going here. The radiator shrouds, they're made by a guy I know called Peter, and he lives in Belgium. He's a wizard with carbon fiber, so he made these. He actually has made a few since that, but these are the prototype ones that I asked him to make, and then he sent me a few pictures on a few different designs, and we finally settled on that. And as you can see, the carbon fiber at the front, which recreates the polished lip that would be on the aluminium ones, a slightly different weave from the main body of the shrouds. The retaining bolts are titanium, and the upper radiator mounting bolt again is titanium of my own design. I made those, and again, once again, the wee special tool to secure them in place. Also did the same with the cam cover bolts. The radiator coolant hoses are Samco. When you would have the stock carburetors, especially on a UK bike, you've got this kind of de-icing system that runs across the bottom of the carburetors, and it becomes part of the coolant system. And I mean, I don't think it's necessary really, but anyway, it's a bit of a pain, because anytime you want to remove the carburetors and you've got to disconnect it, goes down to this water pump pipe, and there's usually a little nipple on there, and this pipe from this the stock carbs would come down and link into that there. And so each time that you want to remove the carbs, you've got to drain the coolant, and then that's a bit of a pain, you know. So then you've got to start and hook it all up again. You say you're rejetting or doing something, you know, you've got to hook it all up again and refill the coolant and bleed it and go through that whole palaver again. So the American bikes don't have that coolant system, so I bought these the coolant pipes, the American ones that are completely free. There's also a coolant pipe in at the back of the engine. Very, very difficult to see, but might see it from the other side, and the coolant pipe would go up into that too. So I changed that to the American one as well. Right, what else? Forks or Ohlins. I made this titanium nut for the axle to thread into. The brackets there for the brakes are K factory, and they're to suit these Brembo HPK 108mm radial brake calipers, and I had to machine the spacers for them. I've got 320mm Sunstar brake discs that have that kind of period slit style on the sweep of the brake disc rather than the holes, because I think it's in keeping with the bike theme. Normally, like I was saying there, the speedo would come down from the cable, would come down and it would go through what should be a little loop here, plastic loop, goes through that and down into where a speedo drive, which would be up in here. Of course, I done away with that, as was explained earlier, so I had to make this little titanium blanking button here for the to do away with that loop, and I wanted to make a feature out of it, which I believe I did there. It's got an Olin steering damper on. The top and bottom yokes, they're billet machined by the same guy who made that plate for the speedo drive, Scott Stitz, Pulse Performance in America. The horn has been relocated to be underneath the front fairing and tucked up there out of the road. It normally hangs from the side of one of the stock shrouds in a very unsightly place. The front indicators are again the other pair of ZRX 9R rear ones. Front headlight is a Japanese one, a Raybrig headlight. It's completely smooth at the front and clear. Doesn't have ribs on like a stock one. We've got Brembo brake and clutch master cylinders, Rizoma reservoir holders. It's got an active quick throttle and a domino switch gear here, because you've done away with the normal switch gear, and so this is a narrower one here. All of the bolts are titanium. Even these are black titanium, etc. It's got a Vortex fuel filler cap, and the seat is made by another guy in America. It's actually called a WOG seat, which doesn't sound very politically correct in today's language, but it's made by a guy called Paul Wog, and it's custom because the stock seat's pretty uncomfortable after a while to sit on. I have I'll take it off and let you see the storage area you have underneath. Let's see. Yeah, you see, normally, look at that, the size of that. Normally the battery there would sit away down there, and then you would have your air box coming out here, your air filter and everything coming out here. But because of this this storage box, it lifts everything up, including the battery, and moves the battery forward and gives you a huge cavernous storage space. You've also got toolbox here at the back, and you know, toolkit and everything being there, handbook, the lot. I'll put the seat back on again, just temporary. Yep. So this bike would be my pride and joy, because I've spent an absolute fortune on it, and it again was the subject of a long, well actually two long build threads. I first of all built it back in 2015 and 2016, and then after getting it built, I then bought another one, which is the one that probably will be the subject of my next video. It's my daily rider, and I had so many stock parts left over from after building this one that I decided I would build a second one, which would be much more of a stock style bike. And then I went a bit further on this because, of course, I put the wheels on, and I put the swinging arm in, and I put the carbs in, and I done all these extra things. Now I can go, and I probably will go a bit further, because I have Yoshimura cams, ST1 carbs for it. I have Kawasaki ZRX 1200 6-speed gearbox to go into it. I have a reboard out bigger block and 1224cc JE pistons to go into it. I have double valve springs to go into it. I have a slipper clutch to go into it. I've just a crazy amount of work that I could still do to it if I wanted to take it further, and that may well be the subject of another thread, build thread, to go further on this here. But it's kind of become a bit of a show bike in that, you know, it's a bit, there's so much sort of time and money and effort and everything tied up in building it, you're nearly afraid to ride the blinking thing, you know, so that's why I built another one. Of course it gets ridden, you know what I mean, it's not one of these ones that just gets put in the garage and never used, but you know, I just love it. It's one of those ones that, you know, ZRXs, there's so much that you can do to them, and people on the forum have gone this far and some even further. So I'll start it up here and let you hear it, and hear the bark off that Kirker pipe. So anyway, let's get the key in first. Switched on. Get the petrol switched on. Don't think there's much petrol in it, so I'll just put it on reserve. I'll pull the choke out. I'll get round here and hit the button. Okay, I think you get the gist there of that. But yeah, what a beast. What a beast of a bike. It's absolutely lovely. I mean, I've always wanted one of these, and I wanted to turn it into this thing here, and I'm so glad that it did. It's everything that I hoped it would be. And all we need is weather to get out and enjoy it. So I hope you like it. And I just thought I would post this up because, you know, you can take 100 photographs, put them on, and people can see it like that. But there's nothing like being able to actually see it in and hear it going in video. Okay guys, thanks a million. The next one will